Redben software behind us. Yes, they deliver firmware over the air. Their phones are running an unbelievable, something like a billion phones now running the Redben software. You know, we don't often realize all the companies here are talking in the millions because of the maturity of the software platforms. And you know, they're iceberg companies. You may see a little tip at the top poking out where you see the visual, like their little stand. But when a company's got their products running on millions of phones, or in some cases billions of phones, that's a truly impressive achievement. So look at Redben software. How many people do you think work for them? About 500, I think, is the answer. NSTL, that's the Symbian testing house. If you need to get your application signed, they're one of the people that do it for you. Telesoft Atlas, that's another service and solutions provider. In their case, I think they do some mobile TV stuff. Again, you can see here they do Android, Symbian, Windows Mobile, iPhone, Series 60J, a bit of repetition on their sign there, I think. Iveco, that's a mobile TV company. They have done some stuff with Orange, I believe. And moving on, I know we're just coming up to the Ixanos stand. So why do we care about Ixanos? Well, they're one of the important third-party contributors to the Symbian Foundation. So everyone complains in S65th edition how on lists you have to double tap things, and people find that really annoying. Frankly, I agree. Ixanos have a proposal into the Symbian Foundation that says we can get rid of the double tap, and that's going to come in Symbian 3. And so in Symbian 3, thanks to Ixanos, an example of a contribution to the open source foundation will no longer have double tap. So great job from Ixanos. They also do their services. If you want to do bespoke development, they're the people to speak to. And up there we've got the famous TeleAtlas blimp. I believe they are updating their maps so that they'll be able to have a fully TeleAtlas aware map of the Symbian smartphone show. Except I shouldn't be calling it, I should be calling it CO9. I've gone off message. Okay. So, how do we miss that?
Share it when you know.
There are quite a few people around. So again, we've got Atelier here. This is again another sort of consultancy company. They specialise particularly in middleware. I believe they've done some telephony stuff for various Symbian manufacturers. Behind us, we've got Vision Objects. They do MyScript, which is basically handwriting recognition. All of these companies that we've been talking about are basically, you buy their solution off the shelf to create a Symbian smartphone. It's the application development theatre. And you can see we've got ongoing things. What have we got running on at the moment? We've got a mobile mashup quickfire from NPR, and this is actually something that's gone through the Symbian Horizon program. And the Symbian Horizon program is Symbian's way of getting applications into multiple app stores from just one channel. They announced that today they're adding the Sony Ericsson Play Now Arena and the China Mobile Marketplace to that. So now, just by going through Symbian Horizon, you can get into 6 application stores as a developer with just one route of entry. So a good example of how Symbian Foundation is trying to lower the barriers to entry in the mobile marketplace. Behind us, John Wiley, who are providers of Symbian books, and they've got a special offer running on the show. It's too late if you're watching this video, but pretty amazing value, £10 for any Symbian book. And given they traditionally retail for about £40, and I do believe that here we've got one of the authors of the book, Ewan Spence, talking about his OPL book.
Hello.
Hello, Ewan. So moving on. One of the big things at the show is the number of seminars going on, and this year it's even bigger than ever. There's 4 different pavilions going on, plus the Bird of a Feather sessions. There's 4 of those each in the main arena. And we're here outside the device creation one. Just point out a few interesting bits and pieces here. Developing WebKit for Symbian. Okay, that's in the browser stuff. Again, open source standards, interesting thing. CalDAV support coming in from Sun. That's a way of doing calendars online and getting it onto the phone easily. Little known fact, how much of the Symbian market is in Japan? 20%, and that's all on Moab S phones from companies like Fujitsu and Sharp. So actually there's more Symbian phones in terms of overall market share in Japan than any other country in the world. Docomo own about 50% of the market in Japan, and of their handsets, 50% are Symbian. So go to Japan, 1 in 4 mobiles will be running the Symbian operating system. And what they're doing, they actually run a custom UI on top of Symbian, and they're now talking about how can they use the things coming in Symbian 4, Orbit and Direct UI to build their next generation user interface for the Japanese market. And we don't ever hear very much about them here in Europe, but they're actually very big in the Symbian world, and a lot of the initiatives are being driven by them. And Docomo, for example, has got an operator pack that it's donated to the Symbian Foundation, another contribution which does iMode and things like that more easily, and could potentially be picked up by a European operator and added to their own Symbian device. But I just want to bring us along this way just a little while, we'll see on the back here, Forum Nokia, they've got their QT logo everywhere. QT, codeless, more elegantly, and so it runs everywhere. At least that's we can say codeless, create more, deploy everywhere. So I didn't quite get the buzz quite right then. But we're talking about the Japanese companies just a little while ago. And you can see here, Fujitsu has got their own stand just to show off some of their devices. And you can see what they've got in there is a button-based phone, but it's also a touch screen. So actually, I think Japan might be a forerunner of what's to come in the market, hybrid devices, where it's actually, a traditional-looking phone. It also happens to be waterproof, by the way, as you can see with that nice demo. But they're hybrid devices, so it combines both touch and the traditional T9, the 12-key layout. And that's something I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the future. So there's been a big battle. Is it going to be non-touch or is it going to be touch? Well, the answer is we're probably going to get a combination of the two. Yes, they'll have touchscreens, but they'll also have the traditional soft keys and the hardware keys on them, because ultimately for entering text it's hard to beat its keys, and for doing selection of content on the screen or manipulating content when you're writing something, touch is best. And so it's kind of ironic that we've had all these wars about how cool touch is and how uncool non-touch is, and the truth is we'll get a combination of the two. And it looks like someone's just stolen a phone from one of the stands. Yes, that'll be LAK Technologies, who do the Copilot GPS stuff. And actually the big thing about Copilot is Copilot Live, one of the few sort of application vendors here for consumers, but they have a strong enterprise focus, and what you can do with them is log onto your computer and see where your entire fleet of vehicles is in one go. And that's what Copilot Live is about. So that completes our walk around the Symbian show. Now, a lot of you are going to be asking, where's the consumer stuff? Where's the interesting stuff? Where are the shiny toys? Where are the devices? Well, that's not what this show is about. It's really about developers, about enterprises, and about people who want to build Symbian phones. If you want to hear about the consumer stuff, you go to Nokia World, you go to the launch of the Sony Ericsson Satio, you go to the launch of future Symbian devices. Here it's about creating the community, and community is going to be the central theme for the Symbian Foundation going forward. Community, open source and contributions are the three big buzzwords here at the Symbian show. So why are they important? Well, Symbian Foundation is attempting to create an entirely new business model. It's bringing in a combination of open source and all the traditional baggage that goes with that, together with a commercial platform. And this ties in very much with Sony Ericsson, Nokia and other manufacturers aim to move more and more stuff to open source. So why do that? Well, that's because a lot of the software stack is no longer a source for differentiation. It becomes standard, it becomes commoditized, and using the same mobile platform makes sense. And it's not just the platform, some of the things within the platform are shared between platforms. We looked at WebKit earlier. It's almost become the de facto standard for browsers. We're looking at something like Qt, and at the moment we talked about it on Symbian, but it also works on MIMO, it works on other mobile platforms, and I'm sure we're going to see it on even more. And so where do you then have the differentiation? Well, that's in the user experience, and that's what Nokia creates with its Obvi services, with Sony Ericsson creates with Play Now Arena, and Samsung have their own offerings there. And so the differentiation is moved up the software stack, and therefore it's a higher level. So the Symbian show is all about the stuff that goes on below that, which may in one sense not be shiny or boring, but it enables all the exciting stuff that goes on top. So without the Symbian platform, Nokia wouldn't be able to create its differentiated device portfolio. It wouldn't be able to deliver services across millions of devices because it wouldn't have a common framework on which to build. And so that's why it's exciting, because the Symbian Foundation and similar platforms, be it Android, be it Limo, be it Apple, be it Windows Mobile, or whatever else may come out in the future, these are the things that the next generation of mobile is going to be built on. And there's a massive focus on applications, but that's just one element of it. All the services that we talk about in the future, the much heralded mobile utopia, which sees the future blossom, which we hear so much about on Mobile Industry Review, on All About Symbian, and on Mobile Developer TV. This is what is going to be delivered by the open platforms, by open source, and by open source business models. I'm Rafe Blanford, and you've been watching a look around the Symbian show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.